Hello, friends, and welcome to The Art Doctor. My name is Nancy Langham-Hooper, PhD, art historian, and culture enthusiast, ready to use the great art of the world to help you out. Today, adolescence. Now wait, before you scoff and leave this video saying,
"Why, I've been a fully grown adult for 100 years.
Let me explain. Yes, this video is for adolescents in the traditional sense. Those who are from, say, between 10 and 20, growing from childhood into adulthood. But it's also for anyone who's going through any kind of awkward transition, trying to figure out who they are or how they belong or get along in a particular situation or a particular person. Even when we're done physically growing, our lives are far from sorted out. My own adolescence lasted from, say, 11 to approximately 35. So this video is for everyone who just doesn't feel comfortable yet, who just hasn't learned how to be wherever they are or whatever situation they're in. And if you happen to be fighting your own body while doing all of the above, this is especially for you. The Art Doctor is here for you all. And because this is a big problem, we've brought in the big guns today. The mutant Ninja Turtle himself, Michelangelo. How quickly we move on once we've grown up. Once we've learned the rules of any situation or life in general, we just forget that it was so hard in the beginning. How awkward it was. How tense we were trying to figure it all out. How desperate we were to look cool, to make sure that nobody knew that we had no idea what we were doing. Awkward and tense are the last things you'd think of when looking at possibly the world's most famous statue. This 17-foot specimen of perfect manhood is practically lounging, hanging out, waiting for whatevs, you know. How could this be the David of the biblical story? Even if you don't know the story, you've probably heard of David and Goliath. Narrated in the book of Samuel, it is the tale of the unusual war between the Philistines and Israel. The two armies are encamped on either side of a battle line, and the Philistines have decided to make this war a one-on-one affair. They send their champion, Goliath, to challenge anyone in Israel to fight him. Winner take all. Goliath is described in detail, 9 feet tall, heavy bronze armor, iron spear at the ready. No one wants to fight him. Every day, Goliath comes out and jeers at Israel like a total mean girl. One day, an Israeli teenager who was visiting his brothers on the battlefield hears Goliath and starts to be annoying. "Who is this guy threatening us? Doesn't he know we're the army of the living God?" His brothers tell him to shut up and go back to tending his sheep, but he keeps mouthing off until he's hauled in front of a desperate King Saul. "Don't worry, I'll fight him," says the scrawny teenager. He's literally the only one who has volunteered, so the king sends him out. He's too small for the armor given him, and he's not used to a sword, so he just faces Goliath with his trusty shepherd's sling and a few smooth stones. You know the rest. Goliath laughs at David, makes a few jokes about dismembering him, and then thwack! Goes down with one well-aimed stone to the forehead. So the story of David and Goliath has come to represent any unevenly matched competition, where all the expectation is on one side and all the victory on the other. So why was this important to Florence, Italy, I hear you ask? Do I hear it? Sure, I heard it. Yeah, I heard you ask it. Well, if you think modern politics are having a bit of a bonkers moment, you'd not want to be in Renaissance Italy. Made up of independent city-states which were forever fighting, conquering, and undermining each other's trade, Florence was not the strongest or the biggest. Rome, in the Papal States right next door, was a constant threat. And Florence was having a few internal problems. Governments changed like fashion. Florence kicked out the ruling Medici family in the 1490s and tried on a brand new reactionary theocratic republic, only to beg for the Medicis to come back after they regretted burning all their gaming tables and dirty books. So I guess you could say Florence was in a perpetual state of adolescence, having to project toughness and strength, all the while having no idea what the heck it was doing. Also, it created some beautiful art and poetry. So emo. In the midst of this political chaos stood a huge piece of Carrara marble. Yeah, the same kind that's in your kitchen. It was supposed to be made into a statue of David to be put up on the new Duomo, the domed roof of the newly constructed Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore. It was going to be one of about 12 Old Testament figures up there, but the first 2 artists commissioned to do it never quite got around to it. Nearly 40 years later, the church gave the commission to 26-year-old Michelangelo, a Florentine native, who got stuck in and 2 years later gave us one of the best things ever. When he was finished, the statue was 17 feet or 5 meters tall and weighed 6 tons. There was no way it was going up on the roof. By the way, this is what it would have looked like up there. They put a lightweight plaster cast up on the Duomo about 10 years ago for a festival. Instead, they heaved it from Michelangelo's workshop to the Palazzo Vecchio, where it could be admired in detail. And this is a replica that you see here today. They moved it inside in the 1870s because he was looking a little worse for wear.
So let's admire it.
First of all, he's huge. Here's a curator working on the statue for scale. Chiseled out of one piece of marble, David is basically Renaissance perfection. From his tousled locks to his broad shoulders, slim hips, and powerful legs, David is the classical ideal of manliness. With his shepherd's sling draped across his back and a stone in his hand, he faces Goliath side on.
And yeah, no way is this guy 16 or however old David is supposed to be in the biblical narrative. But when it comes to representing bodies, classical ideals trump historical accuracy every time.
Now, I know what you're thinking. His hands are too big. Ha, just kidding. You're wondering about the penis. We'll get to that. His hands are actually too big because he was meant to be up on the Duomo. Michelangelo made David's proportions to look perfect from below, even if they look slightly off straight on. And I love that those too big hands are awkward, a small nod to David's adolescence, at least in my mind. Okay, so what you're really wondering about, why is his penis so small, or at least depicted in the smallest yet natural way? Well, the ancient Greeks thought that the ideal male should be represented with a small, flaccid penis. They prized intellect and self-control as the highest human qualities and saw sexuality as part of a base animal nature. So they depicted their enemies and other mischief makers like this satyr with huge genitals, running around lustful and deranged, while those who were most admired had themselves under control. You'll see this in almost all classical statuary, and the Greeks, and by extension later the Romans and the artists of the Renaissance, thought this was beautiful. They thought big penises were actively ugly, something that may seem strange or counterintuitive to our modern sensibilities.
There is another theory, though. When a person is in fight or flight mode, the body quickly reacts to keep you safe and get you out of there alive. One of those reactions is the shrinking of the genitals. Shut up, sexuality! We gotta get out of here!
Wait, fight or flight? Yep. Even though David looks super chill from the front, a closer inspection shows that he is wound up tight as a spring. His veins pop out of his hand holding the stone. His abs are tensed. The sinews on his neck stand up as if he's making an effort. Just look at him from the side. All the muscles in his left arm are flexed, and he seems much more off balance than he did from the front, like he's about to leap forward. But the most telling part is his face. Furrowed brows, flared nostrils, and an intense stare. He's worried? Anxious? Moving around again, that expression changes. Angry? Of course, biblical David would be feeling all those things as he stares down the giant. The statue so beautifully depicts all of these emotions, it became a symbol of Florence. When it was installed in the Palazzo Vecchio, David's eyes were deliberately turned towards Rome, the Goliath to Florence's David.
And isn't this adolescence in a nutshell? Projecting confidence and calm, all the while wound up so tight you feel on a knife's edge? No matter what you do, you can't hide your anxiety, your tension, your anger. But dear God, all you want to do is look cool.
Oh, hey guys, what's up? Just fighting huge 9-foot Philistines, like I do every Friday. I'm sure this resonates with anyone who's ever been to high school. Whatever you've got going on inside, hide it. But I can remember feeling this way so many times in my supposed adulthood, from starting a new job, to going on a date, or pretending to totally know what's going on when the kids start talking about Tumblr and TikTok. I know what TikTok is. One downside of projecting all that confidence is you can say stupid things like, "Hey, isn't anyone in this army man enough to take on that jerk over there?" And you can get yourself into all kinds of scrapes. Me? But that's adolescence. That's life. If we can learn anything from David, it's that awkwardness is universal. He is presented to us as the perfect man, but even he isn't as he seems. We can observe all the confidence around us and forget that underneath, most of us, at one time or another, are awkward and unsure. David doesn't seem awkward, but the tension between his supposed calm and his real anxiety create it. Awkwardness is when you're pulled in two directions, when you've lost your footing, when you really don't know how to be in this moment. And that's okay. It's okay to be awkward. You can't get to real confidence without it. And like David's weight shift, you can't step out somewhere new without tottering a little bit. It's the only way. Embrace it. So I hope that's helped you out, or at least given you some encouragement during your awkward steps of adolescence, no matter what your age. I've added some information about David in the description box below, so go ahead and read up if you want to know more. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. I post a new video every Friday, and YouTube will tell you all about it if you subscribe and hit the little notification bell below. All right, deep breath. You got this. I'll see you next time.